The conference room on Nexus Prime Station was filled with tension. 7 ambassadors sat around the large circular table, each representing one of the major powers that ruled the galaxy. For 300 years, these civilizations had managed to avoid war with each other. They knew everything about each other's military strength, ship counts, and weapon systems. There were no secrets left. That was how peace had survived for so long. Everyone knew that starting a war would mean everyone would lose. Kyle Harrison represented the Vaxian sovereignty. His people had the best energy weapons and shield technology in the galaxy. Across from him sat Commander Daniel Brooks, speaking for the Krelith Hive Collective. The Krelith used swarm tactics with thousands of small ships working together like insects. General Claire Peterson commanded the largest fleet in the galaxy for the Quellan Empire. Admiral Victor Grant led the Orth Dominion, whose massive dreadnought ships could destroy entire planets. Sophie Wright served as ambassador for the Minari Federation, experts in stealth and spying. Captain Nathan Cole represented the Zephyron Coalition with their advanced computers. And finally, Lisa Carter spoke for the Tal Sarai Confederacy, whose sensor networks watched every corner of known space. The annual summit had been going smoothly until now. Kyle was presenting routine intelligence reports when an urgent message interrupted him. His communication device lit up with a priority alert. He paused mid-sentence and read the message. His face went pale. "Something is wrong," Kyle said quietly. "We have detected an anomaly in the void sector." The room fell silent. The void sector was empty space between the spiral arms of the galaxy. Nothing existed there. No stars, no planets, just darkness stretching for thousands of light years. It served as a natural barrier between the territories of the 7 powers. "What kind of anomaly?" Lisa asked. Her people ran the best sensor networks in the galaxy. If something was detected in the void sector, her scientists would have the data. Kyle pulled up a holographic display above the table. The image showed sensor readings from 3 days ago. "There is something out there," he said. "Our gravitational sensors picked up mass displacement. Something very large is moving through the void sector. But when we use visual scans, thermal imaging, or electromagnetic detection, we see nothing. Whatever is out there is completely invisible to every sensor system we have." The room erupted into chaos. Daniel jumped to his feet. "This is a violation of treaty protocols," he shouted. "One of you has developed stealth technology in secret." Sophie shook her head firmly. The Minari had the best stealth ships in the galaxy, but even their technology could not hide gravitational signatures. "Our stealth systems fool visual and basic sensors," she said. "But we cannot hide the gravity well of a large ship. Nobody can." Victor slammed his hand on the table. "I demand full transparency from all council members. Every nation must open their research facilities for inspection." Claire shook her head. "That will never happen. You know our nations will not share military secrets, even in crisis." Nathan spoke up calmly. "Let us review the data before we make accusations. Perhaps there is a natural explanation." Lisa uploaded more sensor data to the display. The readings showed clear patterns. Over the past 3 days, monitoring stations across 3 different sectors had detected the same gravitational anomaly. The invisible object was moving with purpose. It was not drifting randomly. The trajectory showed it was scanning the border regions of all 7 powers systematically. "Someone is spying on all of us," Daniel said. Victor nodded in agreement. "This is reconnaissance. They are studying our defenses before they attack." Sophie looked worried. "If this is true, we are dealing with technology far beyond anything we possess. To hide from every type of sensor, would require breakthroughs in physics that are decades ahead of our best research." Kyle stood up and walked to the holographic display. "Think about what this means," he said seriously. "Perfect stealth across all sensor types requires mastery of gravitational manipulation, quantum mechanics, and energy dampening at levels we cannot even imagine. Whoever built this ship comes from a civilization that makes us look primitive." The ambassadors looked at each other. For 300 years, they had known the military capabilities of every major power in the galaxy. Now something unknown had appeared. Something with technology so advanced that it could move through their space like a ghost. The balance of power that had kept peace for centuries was suddenly meaningless. We need to mobilize our fleets immediately, Victor said. Claire agreed. Every nation should deploy military forces to intercept this vessel, but Sophie raised her hand. Wait, she said. If we respond with aggression, whoever is out there might see it as a hostile act. We should try to make contact peacefully first. Daniel laughed bitterly. Make peaceful contact with an invisible spy ship. Are you insane? This vessel has been watching us for days without revealing itself. That is not the behavior of peaceful explorers. Nathan spoke up again. Sophie has a point. If this civilization wanted to attack us, they would have done so already. The fact that they are only observing suggests intelligence and restraint. The debate continued for hours. Some ambassadors wanted immediate military action. Others argued for diplomatic contact. Meanwhile, more reports arrived from sensor stations across the galaxy. The invisible vessel continued its systematic reconnaissance, moving from one border region to another. It seemed to be gathering information about all 7 powers before making its next move. Eventually, the Council could not agree on a unified response. Each nation decided to act independently. Victor ordered 3 Orth dreadnoughts to move into blocking positions in the Void sector. Claire dispatched squadrons from the Quellan fleet to patrol the borders. Daniel sent thousands of Krellith scout ships to search for the invisible target. The other powers followed with their own military deployments. Within 12 hours, the Void sector transformed from empty space into a massive military zone. Hundreds of warships from 7 different civilizations converged on the region. Each nation deployed its most advanced sensor technology. If the invisible vessel was out there, they were determined to find it. Commander Karen Martinez commanded the Vaxian flagship Celestial Guardian. She stood on the bridge watching sensor displays that showed nothing but empty space. Her science officer had detected brief quantum fluctuations an hour ago, but they vanished before weapons could lock on target. It is like hunting a ghost, her tactical officer said. We know it is out there, but we cannot see it or track it. General Paul Dixon led the Krellith swarm formation. His ship spread out in a wide net, trying to cover as much space as possible. Thousands of small craft moved in perfect coordination, each one equipped with different types of sensors. For 2 days they searched without success. Occasionally, a ship would report a gravitational spike or a quantum distortion, but by the time other vessels moved to investigate, the readings were gone. The psychological pressure on the crews was intense. Everyone knew they were being watched by something they could not see. The invisible vessel was studying them, learning their tactics, analyzing their capabilities. Meanwhile, they were completely blind to its location or intentions. Some crew members started to panic. Others became paranoid, seeing threats in every sensor glitch. On the 3rd day of the search, something changed. All the sensor readings suddenly stopped. The gravitational anomalies vanished. The quantum distortions disappeared. Every monitoring station across 3 sectors reported the same thing: empty space. No trace of the vessel remained. Karen immediately contacted Fleet Command. The target has gone completely dark, she reported. Either it has left the region entirely, or it has achieved even deeper stealth capabilities. Lisa reviewed the data from her sensor networks. There is no way to know which, she told the Council. If this vessel can hide its gravitational signature now, our chances of detecting it again are 0. The Galactic Council held an emergency meeting. The ambassadors gathered again on Nexus Prime, but this time the atmosphere was different. Fear had replaced anger. They were dealing with an unknown force that possessed technology beyond their understanding. A force that could appear and disappear at will, observe them without being detected, and potentially strike without warning. Claire spoke first. The threat has passed. We should recall our fleets and return to normal operations. Victor shook his head strongly. You are wrong. The disappearance is tactical. They are preparing to attack. We need to increase our defensive posture across all territories. Daniel agreed. We should assume hostile intent and act accordingly. Sophie stood up. Listen to yourselves, she said with frustration. We are behaving exactly like they might expect us to behave, with fear and aggression. What if our military response was interpreted as hostile by whoever is out there? What if we just made an enemy out of a potential friend? Nathan nodded. Sophie is right. If this civilization wanted to harm us, we would already be under attack. They have had plenty of opportunities to strike. Instead, they only observed and then withdrew. That suggests intelligence and restraint, not aggression. Kyle thought for a moment. I propose we try diplomatic contact, he said. We broadcast a message into the void sector. We identify ourselves, express our curiosity about the unknown vessel, and invite peaceful communication. Victor laughed. And what if they respond with weapons fire? Kyle met his eyes. Then we will know their intentions. But if we do not try, we will never know if war was necessary or if we created it ourselves through fear. The debate went on for hours. Eventually, they reached a compromise. They would broadcast a diplomatic message while maintaining military readiness. If the unknown civilization was peaceful, communication would open. If they were hostile, the fleets would be prepared to defend their territories. It was the best solution they could agree on. Kyle volunteered to write the message. He spent 3 hours choosing every word carefully. The message needed to sound peaceful without appearing weak. It needed to show strength without threatening violence. Finally, he was satisfied with the text. The broadcast went out simultaneously from 7 different communication stations. The message identified the 7 galactic powers and explained their peaceful coexistence. It acknowledged the detection of an unknown vessel in their space and expressed curiosity about its origins. It extended an invitation for peaceful dialogue at Nexus Prime Station. The message ended with a simple statement that the galaxy had room for peaceful cooperation with new civilizations. The message repeated on all frequencies, broadcasting continuously into the void sector and beyond. Then came the hardest part, waiting. Hours passed with no response. Then a full day went by. Then 2 days. Then a week. No gravitational anomalies were detected. No quantum distortions appeared. The sensor network showed nothing but empty space. Some council members began to believe the unknown vessel had departed the galaxy entirely. Perhaps it had been a long-range scout from a distant civilization, and it had returned home after gathering information. Perhaps they would never see it again. Military forces started to stand down from high alert. Crews returned to normal duties. The immediate crisis seemed to be over. Then, on the 9th day after the broadcast, everything changed. Lisa was reviewing routine sensor data when her communication device exploded with alerts. Multiple sensor stations across all 7 territories were detecting the gravitational anomaly again. But this time, it was not in the distant void sector. It was moving toward Nexus Prime Station itself. She immediately contacted the council. "The vessel has returned," she said urgently. "It is approaching our location at incredible speed. Current velocity calculations show it is moving faster than anything we thought possible for an object of its apparent mass. Estimated arrival time is less than 2 hours. Panic spread through Nexus Prime Station. The 7 ambassadors rushed to evacuate to their respective flagships. Hundreds of warships that had remained in the area after the search moved into defensive positions around the station. Karen positioned the Vaxian fleet to cover the northern approach. Paul spread the Krelith swarm ships in overlapping formations. Victor brought the Orth dreadnoughts into position with their planet-killing weapons charged and ready. Nathan coordinated the defensive grid from his flagship. Every ship had clear firing solutions based on the gravitational readings. Orders were given to hold fire unless attacked, but every weapons officer had their finger on the trigger. The tension was unbearable. They were about to face an enemy they could not see with technology they did not understand. The gravitational readings grew stronger as the invisible vessel approached. It moved directly toward Nexus Prime, completely ignoring the hundreds of warships surrounding the station. It passed through military formations as if they were not even there. The ships might as well have been empty space for all the attention the vessel paid to them. On the bridge of the Vaxian flagship, Karen watched her sensor displays with growing dread. "This is not good," her tactical officer said quietly. "It is treating our most powerful fleet like we are insignificant, like we are not even a threat worth considering." The vessel came to a complete stop exactly 1,000 kilometers from Nexus Prime Station. The position was perfect. It was centered among all 7 fleet formations, equidistant from every major power. The gravitational reading stabilized, showing that the massive object was now stationary. Kyle stood on the bridge of the Quellan command ship next to Claire. They stared at the empty space where sensors said something enormous existed. "What do we do now?" Claire asked. "Do we fire? Do we wait? Do we try to communicate?" Before anyone could answer, the invisible vessel made the decision for them. Without warning or preamble, the cloaking field collapsed. Energy signatures that had been completely hidden suddenly blazed across every sensor in the region. And there, floating in space before them, was the ship that had haunted their nightmares for the past 2 weeks. The vessel was enormous. It dwarfed even the massive Orth dreadnoughts. The hull was made of dark metal that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it, but running through the metal were veins of crystalline material that glowed with internal energy. The design was unlike anything in the known galaxy. The lines were smooth and elegant, but there was also a sense of raw power in every curve. Karen's science officer ran immediate analysis on the vessel. The readings that came back made no sense. "Captain," he said with disbelief in his voice, "the power output from that ship is greater than our entire planetary energy grid. The reactor technology is beyond anything in our database. It appears to be drawing energy directly from subspace itself." Paul tried to scan the vessel's weapons systems. His computers returned error messages. "There are no visible weapons ports," he reported to Daniel. "No energy cannons, no missile tubes, no railguns. But defensive shields around the hull are generating more power than should be physically possible. Our weapons would be useless against those shields." Victor ordered his tactical computers to run attack simulations. He wanted to know if the combined firepower of all 7 fleets could damage this vessel. The computers processed the data and displayed the results. Victory probability was 0. The ship before them could withstand everything they could throw at it and probably not even notice. Across the 7 fleets, panic began to spread. Weapons officers reported that targeting systems could not get stable locks on the vessel. Engineers reported that the energy readings were impossible according to known physics. Captains realized that if this ship decided to attack, the battle would be over in seconds. Not hours or days, seconds. Nathan accessed the Zephron quantum computers and ran probability calculations on combat scenarios. He ran 10,000 different simulations using every tactical advantage he could think of. The results were the same every time: total annihilation of all galactic forces, 0 damage to the unknown vessel. The technology gap was not just large, it was absolute. On the Quellan command ship, Kyle watched the displays with a mixture of wonder and terror. "This is not just a scout ship," he said quietly to Claire. "This is a warship capable of destroying our entire civilization, and it is sitting right in front of us, showing us exactly how powerless we are." Claire felt her hands shaking. "Should we surrender?" she asked. "Should we try to negotiate, or should we fire first and hope we get lucky?" Kyle shook his head. "None of those options will work. We need to wait and see what they do. This is their move now." For long minutes, nothing happened. The massive vessel floated in space, surrounded by hundreds of warships that suddenly seemed very small and very fragile. No weapons fired. No shields activated beyond their normal defensive levels. The ship just waited. Then a transmission came from the vessel. It was not in any galactic language. It was not using any communication protocol that the 7 powers recognized. But somehow, translation systems across all 7 fleets interpreted it perfectly. The words appeared on screens and speakers throughout the assembled ships. The voice that spoke was calm and measured. It had a quality that suggested it came from someone human, though that word had no meaning to the gathered civilizations. "My name is Captain Laura Bennett of the human vessel Horizon," the voice said. "I apologize for the secretive observation of your civilizations over the past 3 weeks. Humanity has encountered hostile species before, and we have learned to be cautious when approaching unknown civilizations." The message continued. "We observed your military capabilities, your political structures, and your cultural values before determining that peaceful contact was appropriate. We have accepted your invitation for dialogue. We come in peace, seeking only knowledge and the opportunity to establish friendly relations with the civilizations of this region." Karen stared at her communication screen in disbelief. "They were watching us for 3 weeks," she said. "Not 3 days, 3 weeks. They studied everything about us before revealing themselves." Her tactical officer nodded grimly. "That means they know our weaknesses. They know exactly how to defeat us if they choose to." The transmission from Captain Bennett included more information. She explained that humanity came from a region of space beyond the galactic rim. They lived in a dense star cluster that the Seven Powers had never explored because of dangerous radiation fields surrounding it. Human civilization had developed in complete isolation for 12,000 years. They discovered faster than light travel through different principles than galactic science. They built technology based on theories that the Seven Powers had not even imagined. The revelation shocked the council members. Daniel spoke over the communication channel connecting the 7 flagships. "How is this possible?" he demanded. "How can a civilization exist for 12,000 years without any contact with the galaxy? How can they develop technology so far beyond ours without our knowledge?" Captain Bennett responded patiently. "The star cluster humanity inhabits is rich in exotic matter and rare elements, but it is also extremely dangerous. Spatial anomalies and radiation storms are common. Our ancestors had to develop advanced technology just to survive. Isolation forced us to solve problems differently than you might have. We built on different principles because we faced different challenges." Sophie spoke up, her voice transmitted from the Minari flagship. "What are your intentions?" she asked directly. "You have technology that makes you invincible to our weapons. You have observed us long enough to know all our weaknesses. Why reveal yourselves now? Why not simply conquer us if that is your goal?" Captain Bennett's response was immediate and firm. "Because conquest is not our goal. Humanity seeks knowledge, cultural exchange, and peaceful cooperation. We have resources and territory sufficient for our needs. What we desire is to join the galactic community and learn from civilizations that have taken different paths than ours." Victor cut in aggressively. "Pretty words," he said, "but you will forgive us if we do not simply accept them at face value. You admit you have overwhelming power. What guarantee do we have that you will not use that power against us when it suits your purposes?" There was a pause before Captain Bennett responded. "You have no guarantee except our actions," she said honestly. "Words are easy. Trust must be earned through consistent behavior over time. That is why we are here. We want to begin the process of building that trust. We want to prove through our actions that humanity values peace over domination." She continued speaking. "However, I must also be honest with you. Humanity will not accept subjugation or exploitation. We offer friendship and cooperation as equals. If you choose to view us as enemies to be destroyed, we will defend ourselves. The result of such conflict would be catastrophic for everyone involved. We would much prefer to avoid that outcome." The message was clear. Humanity was offering peace, but they were also making it clear they would not be pushed around. They had the power to destroy the 7 civilizations if necessary, but they preferred cooperation. The choice was being offered to the Galactic Council. Nathan spoke carefully. "Captain Bennett, you ask us to trust you based on future actions, but you have already given us one demonstration of your character. You observed us for weeks with technology that made you invisible. You could have attacked at any time when we were unprepared. Instead, you waited for our invitation and approached openly. That suggests restraint and honor." Claire added her thoughts, "but it also suggests you were gathering intelligence to ensure you could defeat us if necessary. You know everything about our military capabilities now. We know almost nothing about yours. That puts us at a severe disadvantage in any negotiation." Captain Bennett acknowledged the concern. "You are correct. We do have more information than you. As a gesture of good faith, I am prepared to share details about the horizon and its capabilities. I will also share technological information that may benefit your civilizations, with certain limitations on military applications." The 7 ambassadors looked at each other across their various flagships. This was unprecedented. An unknown civilization with overwhelming power was offering to share technology. It seemed too good to be true. Kyle voiced what everyone was thinking. What do you want in return for this technology? Captain Bennett's answer was simple. We want acceptance. We want the opportunity to establish diplomatic relations with your civilizations. We want to learn from your thousands of years of experience in managing interspecies cooperation. Humanity may have advanced technology, but you have social and political structures that we can learn from. The exchange should benefit everyone. Lisa spoke for the first time since the horizon appeared. Captain Bennett, before we proceed further, I have a question. Why now? You say humanity has existed for 12,000 years. Why make contact with us now? What changed? The answer came quickly. Our exploration vessels finally developed the capability to safely navigate the radiation barriers surrounding our star cluster, Captain Bennett explained. For most of our history, we were trapped in our home region. Now we have the technology to venture beyond. When our scouts detected signs of advanced civilizations in this region, we decided to make contact. You are the first civilizations we have encountered who seem capable of peaceful coexistence. Paul asked the next logical question. You said we seem capable of peaceful coexistence. Does that mean you have encountered other civilizations who were not peaceful? Yes, Captain Bennett said quietly. In regions beyond your territories, we found 3 civilizations that responded to our peaceful overtures with immediate violence. We defended ourselves, and those civilizations no longer pose a threat. But we took no pleasure in those conflicts. We hope to avoid similar outcomes with you. The message was chilling. Humanity had already fought and destroyed 3 unknown civilizations. The 7 powers suddenly felt very vulnerable. If humanity had eliminated 3 potential enemies, eliminating 7 more would apparently not be difficult for them. Sophie decided to test humanity's sincerity. Captain Bennett, you offer to share technology as a gesture of good faith. Will you share weapon systems? Will you teach us how to build shields like yours or reactors like yours? Captain Bennett's response was diplomatic but firm. No. Sharing military technology could destabilize the balance of power among your 7 civilizations. That could lead to war. However, I will share humanitarian technology, medical systems, energy generation for civilian use, agricultural improvements, technologies that can improve lives without military applications. The 7 ambassadors requested time to consult privately. The transmission from the horizon went silent, giving them space to discuss. The council members connected on a private channel, their voices tight with stress. What do we do? Claire asked. If we refuse their offer, they might see it as rejection and become hostile. But if we accept, we are admitting they are stronger than us. We are accepting second-class status in our own galaxy. Daniel was blunt. We have no choice. They have already proven they can destroy us if they wish. The best we can hope for is that their stated peaceful intentions are genuine. We accept their offer and watch them carefully. If they prove treacherous, at least we will have gained some technology that might help us defend ourselves. Victor disagreed. I say we fight. We may die, but at least we die with honor rather than becoming servants to these humans. Nathan shook his head. That is pride talking, not strategy. Fighting when you cannot win is not honor. It is suicide. If humanity wanted servants, they would have demanded our surrender already. They are offering partnership. Kyle proposed a middle path. We accept their offer but with conditions. We establish diplomatic relations and accept their humanitarian technology, but we make it clear that we are watching them. Any sign of treachery or aggression will be met with united resistance. We may not be able to win a war against them, but we can make it costly enough that they think twice. After more debate, the council reached consensus. They would accept humanity's offer. The alternative was too dangerous to contemplate. They reopened the channel to the horizon. Kyle spoke for the council. Captain Bennett, we have discussed your proposal. We are prepared to accept peaceful contact and diplomatic relations with humanity. We welcome the humanitarian technology you offer. However, we request that human vessels not enter our territories without prior coordination. We need time to process this change and to build trust gradually. Captain Bennett's response came quickly. Your terms are acceptable. The horizon will remain in this neutral zone as our diplomatic vessel. We will not send additional ships without your advance knowledge and consent. We understand that our appearance has been disturbing, and we will respect your need for time to adapt." She continued, "As promised, I am now transmitting specifications for 3 technologies. The first is a medical nanomachine system that can cure most known diseases. The second is an energy generation system that provides clean, unlimited power without environmental impact. The third is an agricultural enhancement system that can increase food production significantly. All 3 systems have been carefully designed to have minimal military applications. Data began flowing from the horizon to receivers on all 7 flagships. Scientists across the fleet started analyzing the transmitted information. Within minutes, reports came back confirming that the technology was genuine. The medical systems alone could revolutionize healthcare across the galaxy. The energy technology would eliminate resource scarcity. The agricultural systems would end hunger. Lisa could hardly believe what she was seeing in the data. "This is incredible," she said quietly. "This technology is decades ahead of anything we have. If they are giving this to us freely, imagine what other capabilities they possess." Captain Bennett spoke again. "I hope this demonstration proves our intentions are genuine. Humanity wishes to build a relationship of mutual respect and cooperation with your civilizations. We have much to learn from each other. My crew and I look forward to future conversations." The transmission ended. The massive human vessel Horizon remained floating in space, surrounded by hundreds of warships that no longer seemed quite so intimidating. The balance of power in the galaxy had shifted completely in a matter of hours. Karen stood on her bridge looking at the horizon on her display screen. Her tactical officer spoke quietly beside her. "That ship could destroy our entire civilization," he said, "and there is nothing we could do to stop it." Karen nodded slowly. "But they chose not to," she replied. "That has to mean something. We have to hope it means they are truly peaceful." Across the 7 fleets, similar conversations were taking place. Military officers who had been prepared for battle were trying to process what had just happened. They had come face to face with a power that made their weapons meaningless. Yet instead of conquest, humanity had offered friendship. Instead of demanding submission, they had shared valuable technology. It was the beginning of a new era for the galaxy. An era where the 7 powers were no longer the strongest civilizations in known space. An era where humanity had arrived and changed everything. Whether that change would be for better or worse remained to be seen. But for now, in this moment, there was hope. Hope that different civilizations with vastly different capabilities could find a way to coexist peacefully. Hope that strength did not have to lead to domination. Hope that the future might be brighter than anyone had dared to imagine. The moment the human vessel had uncloaked, every galactic power had panicked. But now, as the immediate crisis passed, fear was slowly being replaced by cautious optimism. The galaxy would never be the same, but perhaps, just perhaps, it would be better. 3 days had passed since the Horizon uncloaked and made first contact with the 7 galactic powers. The massive human vessel remained floating near Nexus Prime Station, a constant reminder of how dramatically the galaxy had changed. Scientists from all 7 civilizations were working day and night to analyze the technology that Captain Laura Bennett had shared. The results were more impressive than anyone had imagined. Dr. Helen Garcia led the Vaxian medical research team. She had spent 3 days studying the nanomachine specifications that humanity provided. The technology was extraordinary. These microscopic machines could enter a living body, identify diseases at the cellular level, and repair damage with incredible precision. Diseases that had plagued the galaxy for centuries could be cured in a matter of hours. Helen sent her report to Ambassador Kyle Harrison. "The medical nanomachines are functional and safe," she wrote. "We have tested them on tissue samples, and the results exceed our expectations. If deployed across our medical facilities, we could eliminate 70% of known diseases within a year. This technology will save billions of lives." Similar reports came from energy researchers studying the power generation systems. Engineer Robert Chen from the Quellan Empire could barely contain his excitement. The human energy system operates on principles we thought were impossible, he explained to General Claire Peterson. It draws power from quantum fluctuations in space itself. There is no fuel required, no waste produced, and no limit to the energy it can generate. A single installation could power an entire city indefinitely. The agricultural specialists were equally amazed. Dr. Patricia Moore examined the farming enhancement systems with growing wonder. These systems optimize soil nutrients at the molecular level, she told Sophie Wright. They also modify plant growth patterns to increase yield without genetic modification. Marginal worlds that barely support colonies could become productive agricultural centers. Food scarcity could become a thing of the past. The Galactic Council met again to discuss the implications of humanity's gifts. The 7 ambassadors gathered on their flagships, connected by secure communication channels. The technology is genuine, Kyle confirmed. Our best scientists have verified everything. Humanity has given us tools that will transform our civilizations for the better. Daniel Brooks remained skeptical. Why would they give us such valuable technology for nothing, he asked. There must be a hidden cost, some demand they have not yet made. Nathan Cole shook his head. Perhaps they are exactly what they claim to be, a civilization that values cooperation over conquest. We should not assume treachery where none has been shown. Lisa Carter had a different concern. The technology they shared is humanitarian in nature, she said. But what about their military capabilities? We still know almost nothing about their weapons systems or the full extent of their power. We are accepting their friendship while remaining completely vulnerable to their potential hostility. Victor Grant agreed strongly. We need more information about their military strength. We need to understand what we are dealing with. Sophie sighed. And how do you propose we get that information? Ask them to show us their weapons so we can figure out how to defend against them. That would be insulting and would destroy the trust we are trying to build. Captain Nathan Cole proposed a solution. We invite Captain Bennett and her senior officers to visit Nexus Prime Station in person. Face-to-face meetings build trust better than transmissions across empty space. We can learn more about them through conversation and observation. If they refuse, that tells us something. If they accept, we begin building a real relationship. The council agreed to the proposal. Kyle sent the invitation to the horizon. Captain Bennett, we would like to invite you and your senior staff to visit Nexus Prime Station for formal diplomatic discussions. We believe personal meetings will help build the trust and understanding necessary for our future relationship. The response came within minutes. Captain Bennett accepted the invitation without hesitation. We would be honored to visit your station, she replied. I will bring 3 of my senior officers. We will arrive in 6 hours. This will give you time to make any security arrangements you feel are necessary. The announcement that humans would actually set foot on Nexus Prime Station sent waves of excitement and nervousness through the gathered fleets. Commander Karen Martinez ordered extra security teams deployed throughout the station. General Paul Dixon positioned Krellith soldiers at strategic locations. Every precaution was taken, though everyone knew that if humanity intended violence, conventional security measures would be useless. 6 hours later, sensors detected a small craft launching from the horizon. The shuttle was sleek and elegant, much smaller than the massive mother ship but still radiating impressive power signatures. It approached Nexus Prime slowly and deliberately, giving the defense systems time to track its movements. The shuttle docked at the main bay without incident. The 7 ambassadors waited in the grand reception hall. Security teams lined the walls, weapons ready but not aimed. Cameras recorded everything. The moment when humanity first walked among the galactic powers would be remembered throughout history. The airlock doors opened, and Captain Laura Bennett stepped into the hall. She was human in appearance, which surprised many observers who had expected something more alien. She stood approximately 170 centimeters tall, with dark hair tied back in a practical style. Her uniform was simple but well-designed, dark blue with silver accents. Her eyes were sharp and intelligent, taking in everything around her with calm assessment. 3 other humans followed her into the hall. Commander Alex Turner was tall and broad-shouldered, clearly military in bearing. Dr. Elizabeth Ward carried herself with the confidence of someone who had spent years in research laboratories. Lieutenant Jason Lee was younger than the others, but his alert posture suggested extensive training in security and tactical operations. Captain Bennett approached the 7 ambassadors and bowed slightly in a gesture of respect. "Thank you for receiving us," she said. Her voice was warm but professional. "It is an honor to meet you in person. I hope this meeting will be the first of many as we build understanding between our civilizations." Kyle stepped forward as the unofficial spokesperson for the council. "Welcome to Nexus Prime, Captain Bennett. We share your hope for productive relations. Please, join us in the council chamber where we can speak more freely." Captain Bennett nodded and followed the ambassadors through the station. Her officers walked behind her, their eyes constantly scanning the environment with professional awareness. The council chamber was circular, with seats arranged so everyone could see each other clearly. The 7 ambassadors took their usual positions. Captain Bennett and her 3 officers were offered seats at the center. Once everyone was settled, the formal discussions began. Claire spoke first. "Captain Bennett, we have examined the technology you shared with us. Our scientists confirm it is extraordinary. We are grateful for these gifts. However, we must be honest with you. Many among our civilizations remain concerned about humanity's intentions. Your technological superiority creates an imbalance of power that makes us uncomfortable." Captain Bennett nodded thoughtfully. "I understand your concern completely. If the situation were reversed, humans would feel the same way. Power imbalances create fear, and fear leads to conflict. That is precisely what we hope to avoid." She paused, choosing her next words carefully. "Let me be direct with you. Humanity does possess advanced military technology. The Horizon could indeed destroy any single vessel in your combined fleets, but building weapons was never our goal. We developed our technology out of necessity, not aggression." Victor leaned forward. "Can you tell us about humanity's history?" he asked. "How did you develop such advanced capabilities in isolation?" Captain Bennett glanced at Dr. Ward, who nodded. Dr. Ward would tell the story. "Humanity originated on a planet called Earth," Dr. Ward began. "For most of our history, we were confined to our home world. We developed civilization, science, and technology over thousands of years, but we also developed a talent for warfare. Humans fought countless wars against each other over resources, ideology, and territory. We nearly destroyed ourselves several times." She continued. "About 5,000 years ago, we finally achieved interstellar travel. We left Earth and colonized other worlds in our star cluster, but we brought our conflicts with us. Human colonies fought each other in space just as we had fought on Earth. The wars continued for centuries. Then something changed." Daniel asked the obvious question. "What changed?" Dr. Ward's expression became somber. "We encountered something that made our human conflicts seem insignificant. In the dense radiation fields surrounding our star cluster, we found evidence of an ancient civilization, a species that had existed millions of years before humans evolved. They built incredible technology and spread across hundreds of worlds. Then something destroyed them. Every trace of their civilization was wiped out in what appeared to be a coordinated attack." The council members listened with growing interest. Commander Turner picked up the story. "Finding those ruins changed everything for humanity. We realized that the universe contained threats far more dangerous than other human factions. We understood that if we kept fighting each other, we would never survive long enough to matter. So we united. All the human colonies came together and formed a single civilization. We focused our efforts on survival and advancement rather than conquest." Sophie spoke up. "You said you encountered hostile civilizations before meeting us. What happened in those encounters?" Captain Bennett took over the explanation. "As our exploration vessels developed the ability to leave our star cluster, we sent ships to explore nearby regions. We found 3 civilizations in different areas of space. All 3 attacked our scouts immediately without attempting communication. In each case, we tried diplomacy first. When that failed, we defended ourselves. The conflicts were brief and decisive. Victor asked bluntly. You destroyed them. Captain Bennett met his eyes directly. We destroyed their military capabilities, yes, but we did not commit genocide. Once their ability to wage war was eliminated, we offered them the same thing we offer you: peaceful coexistence, technology sharing, and mutual cooperation. Two of those civilizations accepted. They are now allied with humanity and benefit from our protection and resources. The third civilization refused all contact and isolated itself completely. We respect their choice and leave them alone. Lisa found this information fascinating. So humanity already leads a small alliance of civilizations, and you wish to add us to that alliance? Not exactly, Captain Bennett replied. The two civilizations allied with humanity are much smaller and less advanced than your 7 powers. They needed our protection to survive. You do not need protection. You have maintained peace among yourselves for 3 centuries. You have complex political structures and rich cultures. What we hope for is a partnership of equals, not a protective alliance. We want to learn from you as much as you might learn from us. Nathan considered this carefully. A partnership of equals requires trust, he said. Trust requires transparency. Can you share information about the threats you mentioned? The ancient civilization that was destroyed. What do you think happened to them? Dr. Ward pulled out a small device and projected holographic images above the table. The images showed ruins on barren worlds, massive structures that had been melted and twisted by incredible heat, cities that had been reduced to glass and slag. The scale of the destruction was horrifying. These are photographs from the ruins we discovered, Dr. Ward explained. The ancient species had technology comparable to or exceeding current human capabilities. They built defensive systems that should have made their worlds nearly invulnerable, yet something destroyed them completely. Analysis of the ruins suggests the attack came from space. Massive energy weapons struck every inhabited world simultaneously. The entire civilization was wiped out in a matter of hours. Claire felt a chill run down her spine. Do you know who attacked them? Dr. Ward shook her head. We have found no evidence of the attackers. No debris, no wreckage, no clues. Whoever they were, they struck with overwhelming force and then disappeared. The ruins are millions of years old. Whatever civilization destroyed the ancients is either long gone or moved to other regions of the galaxy. Kyle understood the implication immediately. You developed your advanced military technology because you fear something similar could happen to humanity. You want to be prepared for threats that can destroy entire civilizations. Captain Bennett nodded. Exactly. Humanity has no interest in conquering you or anyone else, but we are acutely aware that the universe contains dangers we do not yet understand. Our military development is defensive in nature. We want to ensure that what happened to the ancient civilization never happens to us or to any of our allies. Daniel spoke thoughtfully. This changes the context considerably. If there are unknown threats out there capable of destroying advanced civilizations, then our petty conflicts among ourselves seem foolish. Perhaps cooperation makes more sense than competition. Sophie agreed, but cooperation requires information sharing. Captain Bennett, will humanity share data about these ancient ruins with our scientists? Can we study the evidence ourselves and draw our own conclusions? Of course, Captain Bennett said immediately. I will provide complete access to all our research data on the ancient civilization. Dr. Ward can coordinate with your scientific teams. We believe multiple perspectives will help us understand what happened better than any single species working alone. The conversation continued for several hours. The humans answered questions patiently and openly. They shared stories about human history, culture, and values. They described their government structure, which was a democratic federation of colony worlds. They explained how humanity had learned to balance individual freedom with collective security. Commander Turner discussed military matters when asked. He explained that the Horizon was one of 5 exploration vessels humanity had built. These ships were designed for long-range missions and first contact scenarios. They were heavily defended but not primarily warships. Humanity's actual military fleet remained in their home star cluster, protecting their territory and their allies. "How large is your military fleet?" Victor asked. Commander Turner smiled slightly. "Large enough to defend our interests," he replied diplomatically, "but not large enough to threaten civilizations across the galaxy. Our focus is on defense and deterrence, not conquest." Lieutenant Lee spoke for the first time. "If I may add something," he said respectfully. "Humanity studied your civilizations carefully before making contact. We observed how you maintained peace for 300 years. That impressed us greatly. Most species we know of cannot manage such long periods of stability. Your success at avoiding war while maintaining sovereignty demonstrates wisdom we hope to learn from." Lisa found herself warming to the humans despite her initial suspicions. They seemed genuine in their desire for peaceful relations. But she had one more critical question. "Captain Bennett, what happens if one of our civilizations betrays your trust? What if we take the technology you shared and use it to attack our neighbors? Or worse, what if we use it to develop weapons against humanity?" Captain Bennett considered the question seriously. "Those are legitimate concerns. The technology we shared has limited military applications, but clever engineers could potentially weaponize aspects of it. If one of your civilizations used our gifts to attack others, we would be disappointed but not surprised. Species make mistakes. In that scenario, we would work with the other galactic powers to contain the aggressor and restore peace. As for weapons against humanity," she paused and smiled slightly. "The technology gap is significant enough that we are not particularly worried about conventional attacks, but we would be concerned about the breakdown of trust such actions would represent." She continued, "Here is what I hope you understand. Humanity does not want subordinates or servants. We do not want to rule over you. What we want is to be part of a community of civilizations that cooperate for mutual benefit. We will share technology that improves lives. We will offer protection against external threats if requested. But we will not interfere in your internal affairs or try to control your governments. Your sovereignty is important to us because diversity makes everyone stronger." Nathan appreciated the honesty. "That is reassuring to hear, but you must understand our position as well. For 3 centuries we have maintained balance through mutual deterrence. Now that balance is gone. You are so far ahead of us technologically that we have no way to ensure our security through military means. We must trust you completely while you need not trust us at all. That asymmetry is uncomfortable." Captain Bennett nodded slowly. "You are absolutely right. The power imbalance is real and problematic. I cannot eliminate that imbalance quickly. Humanity's technology took thousands of years to develop. We cannot simply transfer all our knowledge to you overnight, even if we wanted to. Some technologies require fundamental changes in scientific understanding that cannot be rushed." She leaned forward. "But here is what I can offer. Humanity will share our research methods and scientific principles gradually over time. We will help your scientists understand the theories that underpin our technology. This will not close the gap immediately, but it will put you on a path to eventual technological parity. In perhaps 50 or 100 years, your civilizations will have the knowledge to build vessels like the Horizon. We will help you get there." Kyle was startled by this offer. "You would give us the knowledge to match your military capabilities. That seems incredibly risky from your perspective." Captain Bennett smiled. "It is risky, yes, but it is the right thing to do. Permanent power imbalances breed resentment and eventual conflict. If we want lasting peace, everyone needs to feel secure. The only way to achieve that is through rough parity of capabilities. Besides," she added with a slight grin, "humanity will not be standing still. By the time your civilizations reach our current level, we will have advanced further. The gap may narrow, but we will maintain our edge for the foreseeable future." Claire found herself believing Captain Bennett's sincerity. The humans could have approached with demands and threats. Instead, they offered cooperation and knowledge. That suggested their values were genuine, not propaganda. "Very well," she said. "I believe we have a basis for moving forward. What are the next steps?" Captain Bennett outlined a proposal. "First, we establish permanent diplomatic missions. Human ambassadors will be stationed here at Nexus Prime. Representatives from each of your civilizations will be invited to visit our territories and see human worlds firsthand. Second, we begin regular scientific exchanges. Our researchers will work with yours on projects of mutual interest. Third, we create a joint security council to discuss potential threats and coordinate defensive strategies. Finally, we establish cultural exchange programs so our peoples can learn about each other beyond just governments and military. The 7 ambassadors discussed the proposal among themselves briefly. The suggestions seemed reasonable and non-threatening. Sophie spoke for the group. We accept your proposal in principle. We will need time to work out details and gain approval from our respective governments, but this seems like a good foundation for future relations. Captain Bennett stood and bowed again. Thank you for your time and your willingness to move forward. I know trust will take years to build. We are prepared to be patient and prove ourselves through consistent action. She glanced at her 3 officers. We should return to the horizon now, but I hope this is just the first of many conversations. The humans departed the same way they arrived. The 7 ambassadors watched them leave, then looked at each other with a mixture of relief and cautious optimism. That went better than I expected, Daniel admitted. They were open, honest, and reasonable. Perhaps we can make this work. Victor remained somewhat skeptical but less hostile than before. Time will tell if their words match their actions, but I admit they made a good impression. Lisa agreed. The information about the ancient civilization was particularly valuable. If those ruins are real, and if unknown threats exist in the galaxy, then cooperation makes strategic sense. Over the following weeks, the relationship between humanity and the 7 powers continued to develop. Human ambassadors took up residence on Nexus Prime Station. They were led by Ambassador Gregory Hoffman, a skilled diplomat who had negotiated treaties with the 2 civilizations already allied with humanity. Gregory was patient and diplomatic, always willing to listen and explain. The first group of galactic scientists visited human space and returned with extraordinary reports. They described worlds that had been terraformed to perfect habitability. Cities that seamlessly integrated nature and technology. Research facilities that made their own installations look primitive. And everywhere, humans working together with the 2 allied species in apparent harmony. Dr. Helen Garcia was part of the first scientific delegation. She spent 2 weeks in human research facilities studying their medical technology. When she returned, she submitted a detailed report. Human medical capabilities exceed our wildest projections, she wrote. They have effectively eliminated aging as a biological process. Disease is almost unknown in their population. Injuries that would be permanently disabling for us are fully healed within days. But what impressed me most was their willingness to teach. They shared their research methods openly and patiently answered every question. Engineer Robert Chen had a similar experience studying human energy systems. The quantum power generation technology is revolutionary, he reported. But even more impressive is their commitment to environmental protection. Despite having unlimited energy, humans carefully manage their impact on planetary ecosystems. They could expand infinitely but choose sustainability instead. This suggests maturity and wisdom that matches their technological advancement. As positive reports accumulated, public opinion in the 7 civilizations began to shift. Initial fear and suspicion gradually gave way to cautious optimism. News services reported on the humanitarian benefits already being realized from human technology. Hospitals began deploying medical nanomachines with dramatic success. Energy installations came online, eliminating power shortages. Agricultural worlds implemented farming enhancements, increasing food production significantly. 6 months after first contact, the Galactic Council formally voted to recognize humanity as the 8th major power in the galaxy. The vote was unanimous. Captain Bennett was invited to attend the ceremony where this recognition would be announced. She arrived with the same 3 officers who had accompanied her to the first meeting. Kyle presented the official declaration. On behalf of the 7 galactic powers, we recognize humanity as an equal member of the galactic community. We welcome your civilization with friendship and respect. We look forward to centuries of cooperation and mutual growth." Captain Bennett accepted the declaration with obvious emotion. "This is a historic moment," she said. "Humanity left our isolated star cluster hoping to find peaceful civilizations to join. You have given us more than we dared to hope for. We promise to honor your trust and prove worthy of this recognition." The ceremony was broadcast across all 8 civilizations. Billions of beings watched as former strangers became official allies. The moment represented hope for a better future. Hope that different species with vastly different capabilities could find common ground. Hope that wisdom could triumph over fear. After the ceremony, the ambassadors gathered privately for a more informal celebration. For the first time, the atmosphere was genuinely relaxed. They shared food and drink from their various cultures. They told stories and laughed together. The walls of suspicion that had dominated the early meetings had crumbled. Daniel raised his glass in a toast. "To humanity," he said, "who came to us with power but offered friendship instead of conquest. May your example inspire all of us to be better than we were." The others echoed the toast. Captain Bennett raised her own glass. "To the galactic powers," she replied, "who chose wisdom over fear and cooperation over conflict. You have shown humanity that the universe contains friends, not just threats." Commander Karen Martinez stood on the observation deck of her flagship, looking at the horizon floating peacefully near Nexus Prime. 6 months ago, that ship represented her worst nightmare, an invincible enemy with unknown intentions. Now it represented hope and partnership. She had been wrong to fear so completely. Sometimes the unknown brings opportunity rather than destruction. General Paul Dixon reviewed the latest tactical analysis of human capabilities. The reports confirmed what everyone already knew. In any direct conflict, humanity would win decisively, but that knowledge no longer caused panic. Instead, it brought comfort. If unknown threats existed in the galaxy, having powerful allies suddenly seemed very wise. 1 year after first contact, the relationship between humanity and the 7 powers had evolved into genuine partnership. Joint research facilities had been established on neutral worlds. Military cooperation agreements allowed coordinated defense planning. Trade relationships flourished as each civilization offered resources and products the others valued. Cultural exchanges brought human artists, musicians, and philosophers to galactic worlds, while galactic visitors experienced human culture firsthand. Dr. Ward led a joint scientific expedition to study the ancient ruins that humanity had discovered. Scientists from all 8 civilizations worked together to analyze the evidence. The collaboration produced insights that no single species had achieved alone. The prevailing theory suggested that the ancient civilization had been destroyed by an unknown force that used weapons based on principles not yet understood by anyone. The ruins served as a sobering reminder that the universe contained mysteries and dangers beyond current comprehension. This shared knowledge motivated increased cooperation on defensive technologies. Human scientists began teaching advanced physics principles to galactic researchers. The gap in capabilities would not close quickly, but progress was being made. In perhaps 50 years, as Captain Bennett had predicted, the other civilizations would have ships comparable to the horizon. Until then, they would rely on human protection while building their own capabilities. Ambassador Gregory Hoffman became a regular presence at council meetings. He participated in discussions about galactic policy, always offering human perspectives while respecting the sovereignty of the other powers. His diplomatic skill helped smooth over occasional disagreements and cultural misunderstandings. He became particularly close friends with Sophie Wright, and their partnership helped bridge human and galactic perspectives. 2 years after first contact, an unexpected crisis tested the new alliance. A previously unknown civilization appeared on the edge of galactic space. They called themselves the Mordak Hegemony, and their intentions were clearly hostile. They attacked several outlying colonies belonging to the Minari Federation, destroying settlements and taking prisoners. The attacks were brutal and unprovoked. The Galactic Council met in emergency session. Sophie demanded immediate action to rescue her people and stop the aggression. The council quickly agreed on a military response, but the question was whether to ask for human assistance. Some members felt they should handle this crisis themselves to prove they were not dependent on humanity. Others argued that involving humanity would end the threat more quickly and save lives. Captain Bennett attended the meeting at their invitation. She listened to the debate without commenting until asked directly for her opinion. "What would humanity do?" Kyle asked. "Would you help us respond to this aggression?" Captain Bennett stood and addressed the council seriously. "The Minari Federation is under attack. That makes this a matter of concern for all of us. Humanity stands ready to assist in any way you request. If you want us to deploy military forces, we will do so. If you prefer to handle this independently while we provide intelligence support, we will respect that choice. This is your decision to make." Sophie spoke emotionally. "My people are dying while we debate. I request human military intervention immediately." Claire supported her. "I agree. Lives are at stake. Pride is less important than saving innocent people." The council voted, and the decision was unanimous. Humanity would be asked to help stop the Mordek attacks. Captain Bennett gave orders immediately. The Horizon departed Nexus Prime within the hour, accompanied by 3 more human vessels that had arrived in galactic space over the past year. The small human fleet moved toward Minari territory at speeds the galactic ships could not match. They arrived at the conflict zone in less than 2 days. The Mordek hegemony had dozens of warships attacking Minari colonies. Their ships were powerful by galactic standards, with advanced weapons and heavy armor. They had expected to overwhelm the Minari defenses easily. They were not prepared for what happened next. The Horizon uncloaked directly in the middle of the Mordek fleet. Before the enemy ships could react, human vessels disabled their weapon systems with precision energy strikes. No Mordek ships were destroyed. No crew members were killed. But within minutes, the entire enemy fleet was rendered helpless and unable to fight. The demonstration of human power was absolute and undeniable. Captain Bennett transmitted a message to the Mordek command. "This is Captain Laura Bennett of the human vessel Horizon. You have attacked our allies without provocation. Your military capability has been neutralized. You have 2 choices. You can agree to immediate ceasefire and diplomatic negotiations, or we will destroy your fleet and take further action against your territory. Choose quickly." The Mordek commander saw his helpless fleet and made the only rational choice. He agreed to ceasefire and negotiation. Within hours, Mordek forces withdrew from Minari space. Prisoners were returned unharmed. The crisis was over almost as quickly as it had begun. The Galactic Council reconvened to discuss what had happened. The speed and efficiency of the human response had been remarkable, but what impressed everyone most was the restraint. Humanity could have destroyed the Mordek fleet completely. Instead, they disabled the enemy ships and forced negotiation. They had used their overwhelming power to preserve life rather than destroy it. Sophie spoke with obvious emotion. "Humanity saved my people. They could have done it in a way that showcased their power and intimidated everyone watching. Instead, they did it with minimum force necessary and maximum preservation of life. That demonstrates the values they claim to hold. I am grateful and honored to call them our allies." The others agreed. Even Victor, who had been the most skeptical about humanity, admitted they had acted honorably. The Mordek incident proved that humanity's power would be used responsibly. That knowledge made their technological superiority easier to accept. In the aftermath of the crisis, relationships deepened further. The Mordek hegemony requested diplomatic contact with the Galactic Council and humanity. They explained that they had attacked because they believed the region was dominated by weak civilizations they could exploit. Learning about human capabilities changed their calculations completely. They now sought peaceful relations rather than conquest. Captain Bennett negotiated personally with the Mordek leadership. She offered them the same choice humanity had offered everyone else: join the community of civilizations cooperating for mutual benefit, or remain isolated but peaceful. The Mordek chose cooperation. Within a year, they would become the 9th member of the growing Galactic Alliance. 5 years after first contact, The galaxy looked very different than it had before humanity arrived. The original balance of power among 7 equal civilizations had been replaced by a new structure. Humanity sat at the center, not as rulers but as guarantors of peace. Their technological superiority remained absolute, but their commitment to using power responsibly had been proven repeatedly. The humanitarian technologies humanity shared had transformed lives across dozens of worlds. Disease rates had plummeted. Energy scarcity had been eliminated. Food production had increased dramatically. Trade flourished as transportation technology improved. Cultural exchanges enriched every civilization involved. Scientific cooperation produced breakthroughs that benefited everyone. More importantly, the fear that had dominated the first days after humanity's arrival had been replaced by genuine trust. The humans had kept every promise. They had shared knowledge freely. They had protected those who needed protection. They had respected sovereignty while offering guidance. They had proven through consistent action that their stated values were real. Captain Bennett stood on the bridge of the horizon, looking at the holographic display showing all 9 allied civilizations. Commander Turner stood beside her. "We did it," he said quietly. "We found what we were looking for, peaceful civilizations willing to cooperate, a community we can be part of." Captain Bennett nodded. "But the work is not finished. Building trust was just the first step. Maintaining it will require constant effort. We must never become complacent or arrogant. We must always remember that power without wisdom is tyranny." Commander Turner smiled. "That is why you are the captain. You understand what matters." On Nexus Prime Station, the Galactic Council met for their regular session. All 9 civilizations were represented now, with humanity holding an equal seat at the table. They discussed trade policies, scientific collaboration, and defensive preparations. The discussions were productive and cooperative. Disagreements still arose occasionally, but they were resolved through dialogue rather than threats. Kyle Harrison looked around the council chamber and reflected on how much had changed. 5 years ago, this table had 7 members who barely trusted each other. Now there were 9 civilizations working together toward common goals. The transformation had been remarkable. It had all started with that moment when the horizon uncloaked and everyone panicked. That panic had given way to understanding, and understanding had led to friendship. The galaxy was entering a new era, an era of cooperation and shared growth, an era where power was used to protect rather than dominate, an era where diverse civilizations found strength in their differences rather than conflict. It was not perfect. Challenges remained. Unknown threats still lurked in the unexplored regions of space, but facing those challenges together made them seem less frightening. The moment the human vessel Uncloaked had indeed caused panic, but that panic had led to dialogue. Dialogue had led to understanding. Understanding had led to trust, and trust had led to a better future for everyone. The galaxy would never be the same, but perhaps that was exactly what it needed.